What if I told you that one of the most common qualities people admire in others, perfectionism, might actually be the very thing holding them back from realizing their true potential? Imagine for a moment you've been working tirelessly on something, whether it's a book, a business idea, or a passion project, and despite all the effort, you never quite feel ready to release it into the world. Why? Because you're waiting for that perfect moment, that one flawless execution. But what if that perfect moment is just an illusion? What if, deep down, perfectionism is not a sign of strength, but a reflection of your deepest fears? The fear of stepping into your own power, the fear of what might happen if you finally allow yourself to shine unapologetically. Perfectionism is something we all know well. It's that nagging voice that tells us, it's not good enough yet. It's the obsession with tiny details that no one else will even notice. But here's the truth. This relentless pursuit of flawlessness is not driven by ambition. It's driven by fear. I want you to think about something for a moment. How many projects, opportunities, and even relationships have you put off because you were waiting for them to be perfect? Maybe you're still waiting right now, waiting for the right time, the perfect conditions, the ideal outcome. The problem is, the longer you wait for perfection, the more time you waste. And as time passes, the real question begins to haunt you. What is it that you're really avoiding? Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, understood something deep about human nature. He saw the mask we wear in public, the persona we carefully craft to be admired and accepted. We present ourselves to the world as competent, disciplined, and, yes, perfect. But behind that polished exterior, there's something more primal, something we're terrified to face. It's not the fear of failing. It's the fear of realizing our own potential, of stepping into our true power. You see, perfectionism is not about doing something flawlessly. It's about hiding. It's about creating a barrier between who we really are and who we want others to think we are. And in this process, we're not just protecting ourselves from judgment. We're protecting ourselves from the terrifying realization that we could have done so much more, so much earlier, if only we had dared to begin. Think about it. How many dreams have you buried in the name of perfectionism? Maybe you've always wanted to start a business, write a book, or speak on stage. But instead, you've spent years learning, researching, and perfecting the idea in your mind. You've crafted the plan, tweaked the details, and yet, you never take that first step. Why? Because the plan's not good enough yet. The timing's not perfect yet. The risk is too high. And so, you wait. You wait for the stars to align, for the perfect conditions to emerge. But the problem is, perfectionism never delivers. It's a trick, a sneaky way of telling you that you're not ready, when in reality, you've been ready all along. The truth is, perfectionism doesn't keep you safe. It keeps you stuck. It creates a state of paralysis, where you're so focused on perfecting the process, you never actually do anything. You keep refining and adjusting, but never moving forward. This isn't the pursuit of excellence. It's the avoidance of responsibility. Responsibility for your own greatness. Responsibility for the fact that you are capable of more than you've allowed yourself to believe. There's an uncomfortable truth lurking behind perfectionism. It's not just about fear of failure. It's about the fear of success. Success forces you to confront the fact that you have the ability to achieve far more than you ever thought possible. It forces you to realize that all those years you spent perfecting yourself could have been spent doing the very things you've been putting off. Jung believed that our true potential is hidden in what he called the shadow. The shadow is that unconscious part of ourselves that contains all the things we repress, fears, desires, and even the parts of ourselves that are too powerful or too bold for our current sense of self to handle. And perfectionism? It's a way to keep that shadow locked away. It's a strategy to avoid the pain of confronting those deeper parts of ourselves. But what happens when we never face the shadow? We get stuck. We stay small. And the longer we stay small, the more we live in the illusion that we are doing our best. But deep down, we know there's more. You've probably heard it before. You're your own worst enemy. Well, perfectionism is that enemy. It's the voice in your head that keeps telling you, not yet, when it should be telling you, now. Imagine for a second a person who is always preparing but never actually doing. This person has been working on a book for years. They've written chapters, edited and revised. But every time they sit down to publish, they find something that isn't quite right. The plot's not perfect. The title's not catchy enough. They need more feedback, more research. And so, they wait. They wait for the perfect moment. And that perfect moment never comes. What if I told you that this pattern is not isolated? That you are not the only one who's caught in this cycle of eternal preparation? There are millions of people, just like you, who live in a constant state of almost ready, but never truly take action. We've all been there. It's the story of a generation that's obsessed with optimization, but terrified of failure. We think we need to perfect every little detail before we move, but in reality, that perfection is a lie. There's a price we pay for perfectionism. It's not just about avoiding failure, it's about missing out on life itself. How many relationships have you let slip away because you're so focused on presenting yourself as flawless? How many opportunities have passed by just out of your reach because you couldn't quite get everything together? We live in a world that praises flawless execution, but the truth is, those who dare to be imperfect are the ones who truly live. When you're waiting for perfection, you're not just waiting for the right time, you're waiting for permission to live. And the scary part, the longer you wait, the more of your life slips away. Jung believed that life isn't just about getting things right. It's about facing the truth of who we are, flaws and all. It's about taking the leap, even when we don't have all the answers, even when it feels messy and uncertain. The idea that you can avoid failure forever by perfecting yourself is a lie. The real work, the real transformation, happens in the moments of imperfection. It's the mistakes, the failures, and the risks that give us the courage to step into the unknown. And that's where the magic lies. You may be wondering, but what if I fail? What if I make a fool of myself? What if I'm not good enough? That's the fear speaking. It's the voice of perfectionism, telling you to stay safe. But here's the truth. The only way you'll ever truly fail is if you don't try at all. Because perfectionism isn't protecting you. It's holding you back. It's keeping you locked in a cage of your own making. True success, true growth, comes from the willingness to fail. It comes from the courage to make a mess of things, to take risks, to do the work, and let go of the outcome. And here's the beautiful part. When you finally step out of the shadows of perfectionism, you'll realize something profound. You will see that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy. You don't have to have everything figured out to make a difference in the world. Perfectionism is not the path to freedom. It's the path to a gilded cage, a prison of your own making. The more you try to be perfect, the more you separate yourself from the authentic, messy, beautiful human being you are. And that's the real tragedy. The fear of stepping into your power, the fear of embracing who you truly are, is what keeps you from becoming everything you were meant to be. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to keep waiting for that perfect moment, that perfect plan? Or are you going to step into the uncertainty of imperfection and finally start living? As you continue to think about this, I want you to notice how many times you find yourself hesitating or putting things off in your life. It's easy to think of perfectionism as a harmless flaw, a trait that's actually helping you get things done. But in reality, it's a slow killer of dreams and opportunities. It's the invisible force that keeps you from moving forward, one day at a time. It keeps you spinning your wheels in place, justifying inaction by pretending you're not ready, when the only thing you need to do is start. Now, think about those moments when you look back at a decision you made, a project you began, or an opportunity you seized despite it not being perfect. Those are the moments where you grew. Those are the moments where you expanded. Every step of progress comes from those moments where you dared to be imperfect. It's time to stop fearing imperfection. It's time to see it for what it really is, the gateway to your real power. In the end, embracing your flaws and imperfections is not a weakness. It's the greatest strength you can have. Let go of the myth of perfection and discover the courage to start, to fail, and to succeed in ways you never imagined possible. Now that you understand the foundational concept of the shadow and the psychological costs of perfectionism, let's explore how we can actually break free from this cycle. The road to freedom doesn't lie in simply rejecting perfectionism outright. It's about transforming it. It's about taking something that has been a shield, a defense mechanism, and turning it into a force that propels you forward. The key to unlocking this transformation is awareness and action. Jung's idea of individuation, the process of becoming your true, whole self, doesn't happen by force. It happens by embracing the full range of your experiences, including the uncomfortable ones. It happens by accepting not just your strengths, but also your flaws, fears, and untapped potential. To face your shadow means to let go of the need for everything to be perfect and to allow yourself to be truly human. When we begin to accept our imperfections, we unlock the ability to create, to grow, and to evolve in ways that perfectionism will never allow. To truly break free from the grip of perfectionism, the first step is confronting your fear. Perfectionism thrives on fear. The fear of failure, the fear of not being good enough, and perhaps most importantly, the fear of success. It's easy to think that perfectionism is just about avoiding failure, but the deeper fear is that if you succeed, you'll be forced to live up to expectations you're not ready for. What will others expect of you if you finally succeed? What will happen if you can't keep up with the pressure? By acknowledging these fears, you begin to separate them from the process of growth and achievement. Success in this sense becomes less about the outcome and more about the journey. The moment you take that first step, imperfect though it may be, you break the chain of fear that perfectionism has wrapped around you. Let's go deeper into how we can shift our mindset and take action. 1. Shift your focus from perfection to progress. One of the most liberating things you can do is start to focus on progress instead of perfection. Perfectionism tells you that the end result must be flawless, but in truth, there is no end. There is only the journey. Progress, on the other hand, is something you can measure every day. It's about taking small steps, making mistakes, and learning from them. Each action you take, no matter how imperfect, is a step closer to who you are meant to become. This shift in focus helps you build momentum. You stop worrying about how everything will look when it's done, and instead, you start celebrating each small success along the way. This process involves letting go of your attachment to the outcome. Perfectionism ties you to a specific vision of how things must be. But as you move forward, you'll find that the journey itself holds more wisdom, more growth, and more freedom than the final product ever could. The goal is not to create something flawless, but to create something real, something that reflects the raw, unfiltered parts of yourself. 2. Develop a new relationship with failure. Failure is a key part of growth. We all know this logically, but perfectionism keeps us from experiencing failure in a healthy way. It makes us think that failure is something to be avoided at all costs. But the truth is, failure is a necessary part of success. Without failure, there can be no learning. Without risk, there can be no innovation. One of the most transformative shifts you can make is changing your relationship with failure. Instead of seeing it as a reflection of your inadequacy, start to view it as a lesson, a step forward on the path to your greater self. Think about it. If everything were perfect from the start, how would you ever learn? How would you ever adapt? Failure isn't a sign that you're not good enough. It's a sign that you're doing something bold, something meaningful. You're pushing your boundaries and moving outside of your comfort zone. So, when you fail, and you will fail, celebrate it. Thank it for teaching you what didn't work. Thank it for showing you where you can improve. And then, move forward, knowing that each misstep brings you closer to the person you are meant to become. 3. Embrace imperfection as the gateway to authenticity. The power of imperfection cannot be overstated. It is in our flaws that we connect with others on a deep human level. No one is perfect, and when we allow ourselves to embrace that truth, we begin to see the beauty in vulnerability. Perfectionism, on the other hand, hides behind a wall, blocking real connection and authentic expression. Think about your most meaningful relationships. They likely didn't form because of flawless interactions or perfectly constructed personas. No, they grew because you allowed yourself to be vulnerable. You showed up as you were, flaws, fears, and all, and others resonated with that. Authenticity isn't about perfection. It's about being real, being present, and embracing the messiness of life. By letting go of the need to be perfect, you open yourself up to deeper, more meaningful connections, not only with others, but also with yourself. You start to see that your imperfections are what make you unique, not weak. They are the source of your creativity, your depth, and your humanity. 4. Take imperfect action. Every day. The best way to overcome perfectionism is to take action. Not just any action, but imperfect action. Start doing even if you don't feel ready. Start that project, write that email, take that leap, even if everything isn't in place. Remember, perfectionism doesn't allow for mistakes. It's a trap that keeps you waiting, constantly preparing for the perfect moment, which never arrives. The truth is, the best way to learn and grow is by doing. And the only way to get past the fear of imperfection is to experience it firsthand. Incorporate this principle into your daily life. Instead of planning endlessly, take the first step, however small. You don't need everything to be figured out right now. The process of figuring things out, through trial and error, is where the real learning happens. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Instead, get started now. And when you make mistakes, don't judge yourself harshly. Learn from them, adapt, and keep going. This is how you grow. This is how you begin to conquer perfectionism. 5. Create a new vision for success. What does success look like to you? If you're trapped in the cycle of perfectionism, success probably means flawless execution and constant achievement. But perfectionism creates a narrow, unrealistic vision of success. It makes you think that anything less than perfect means failure. It's time to redefine success. Real success isn't about never failing. It's about showing up every day, doing the work, and staying true to your purpose. Success is about growth, resilience, and the courage to keep going, even when things don't go as planned. Success is not a destination. It's a journey, one where you continuously evolve and improve. When you redefine success in this way, you free yourself from the burden of perfection. You start to see that each experience, whether it ends in success or failure, is a valuable part of your growth. Each moment teaches you something. Each step brings you closer to the person you're meant to become. 6. Engage with your shadow. To break free from perfectionism, you must actively engage with your shadow. The shadow isn't just about your flaws or mistakes. It's also about your unrealized potential. Jung believed that facing the shadow was essential to the individuation process, the process of becoming the person you were truly meant to be. Engaging with your shadow means confronting the parts of yourself that you've avoided, your fears, your insecurities, and your untapped potential. It's about accepting that you are not perfect, but you are whole. Embrace your imperfections, your vulnerabilities, and your inner power. By facing your shadow, you integrate those repressed parts of yourself, allowing them to become a source of strength. When you embrace all that you are, including your flaws and fears, you no longer feel the need to hide behind perfection. You can step into your true power, confident in the knowledge that you are enough as you are. 7. Embrace the power of consistency over perfection. In the battle against perfectionism, consistency is your greatest ally. Perfectionism seeks to trap you in a cycle of constant refinement, but consistency is what leads to real progress. Perfectionism makes you believe that every action must be flawless, but consistency shows you that it's the small, everyday efforts that matter most. Start setting small, consistent goals that you can build on over time. Rather than focusing on getting everything perfect, focus on showing up every day, doing the work, and gradually improving. With time, you'll find that consistency produces results far more powerful than perfectionism ever could. So here's the final truth. You don't need to be perfect to be successful. You don't need to be flawless to be worthy. The fear of imperfection, the fear of failure, and the fear of success, these are the shadows you've been hiding from. But when you stop running, when you embrace your true self and take imperfect action, you break free from the chains of perfectionism. Remember, perfectionism is not a road to freedom, it's a trap. The key to unlocking your true potential is to take action, embrace your flaws, and step into the unknown. It's in the imperfection, the vulnerability, and the willingness to fail that true greatness lies. So, what are you waiting for? It's time to let go of the need to be perfect. It's time to start living, to create, and to embrace your shadow. It's time to take that first step, however messy, however imperfect, because that is where your true power lies.